scientifically, myelomeniingocele, which is what I have, is the most severe form of spina bifida, whereas they are paralyzed from the waist down. My spine would have gotten like severed, particularly when I'm having like a higher pain day. Experiences that I went through with bullying.
The most important factor to a healthy well-being is feeling connected. Welcome to From There to Here, a safe place where we will explore some of life's adventures so that you do not feel alone. Hi, listeners. It is Shannon and Jess with From There to Here podcast, and we are so happy that you are with us today. We are starting our episode with our heart lens, as we always do, to remind us of what brings us joy, where we're finding gratitude in the world. Shannon, what is in your heart lens?
I am just going to say my family's health. If you listened, gosh, I don't even know what episode it was that we talked about my dad's health. We found out his last MRI, they couldn't even see the tumor anymore. So whether it's there or not, it's so small that they can't even see it with the MRI. And he's doing amazing. So everybody's health is in my heart lens.
That reminds me, I just saw a Facebook post of like, take some time to appreciate your clear nostrils right now, because someday they will not be clear and you will be disappointed that you can't breathe. I'm like, do you ever do that though? Sometimes
Yes,
in the winter, I'm like, oh, I'm so thankful I don't have a cold.
I mean, actually, yeah, just randomly, I'll be like, oh, everything in my body feels okay right now. Yes.
Especially as we get older.
Oh, true. All right. Jess, what's in your heart lens?
My heart lens is I got a crystal ball.
Oh, I want to see it.
I have been wanting a magical crystal ball for so long. It's a big selenite one. So when you like look at it from different angles, it just looks magical. It looks shiny.
Cool. I want to see it when it
changes. Yeah, you'll have to take a peek, and I'll be casting spells. And,
you cast a good one on.
I mean, that's what crystal balls are for, right?
Are you only casting good ones because you're a good witch, right? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
that's what I thought. I only have a good witch for a co-host.
Yes.
Meetra is our guest.
Yeah, Meetra, what's in your heart lens today?
I would say my family, that everybody is healthy, and I am grateful that I was able to be off work this past Christmas here and actually get to spend time with them.
Yes, that's nice when you get to spend time with your loved ones, even if it's not Christmas, just like a weekend or a vacation, or just like anytime just to relax.
It doesn't have to be the day.
Right. Yeah, right, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a heart lens you would like to share with us, you are welcome to do so by going to our website, podcastfromtheretohere.net, and we will share your joys during our upcoming episodes.
Is it .net?
Yes, it is.
I don't know why I thought it was .org for a second. Okay, .net.
Oh, gosh.
Okay. So our guest today is the author of Disability to This Ability. Meetra's ability is she was born with spina bifida. And I would love, Meetra, if you could just start us out explaining to our listeners what is spina bifida.
Okay. Spina bifida is a neural tube birth defect that basically, in simple terms, means split spine.
Oh, okay.
When I was born, my spinal column was protruding from my back, and I just had to have surgery to, quote unquote, repair that, whereas they just put the spinal column back in. And where my level is, it's L5S1. So
L5S1.
Yep. So it's basically lower back right above your bum.
Okay. So when you came out, your like the bones, like your actual spine was sticking out of your skin. Like it wasn't connecting.
So it was in like a spinal sac.
Okay.
And so like that sac was just like a circle outside of my back, or, near your
Sounds
hip,
of it,
closer.
Yep.
it varies in location on where this can happen in your spine. Can you speak a little bit more to that? So it sounds like there's a range.
Yes. So there's a range, but there's also different types of spina bifida. So there is lipomyelinocyte, occulta, myelomeningocele, and I just drew a blank on the last one. But the last one that I'm not thinking of is not as severe. Scientifically, myelomeningocele, which is what I have, is the most severe form of spina bifida.
Okay.
And the higher up on your back that your lesion or your scar is, the more challenges you will have. Okay. And so many people who are in like the T level or higher L and S level, they would have like paralysis or lower kidney and bladder function. But because spina bifida is named snowflake disability, you can have two of us with the same level, but very different capacities.
Okay.
And
how does
like, for an example, I'm sorry.
Oh, you go ahead.
I was just gonna say, for an example, one of my friends who does have spina bifida, we have very similar levels, and I am ambulatory, but I use like a walking stick on occasion, whereas they are paralyzed from the waist down.
Okay.
And why the difference in ability with the same location? Do you have any, do you know, or does anyone know that?
So not really, just because it varies so much. A lot of it nowadays, now it is because of the in utero surgery that mothers are able to do the spina bifida a little bit more. But I know for like this friend, he's like 10 years older than me. So I think at that time when he was born, they didn't have the same tools and equipment they had when I was born.
Did your
to detect
mom know? Did your mom know
Yes,
in utero that you had spina bifida?
So she knew. I don't remember if she said that she knew right away in utero, but she said that in one of the early scans that they were able to tell that I had a lesion, and then they sent her to UW here in Madison, and that's where they were able to say, hey, yep, this is spina bifida.
And then they knew, so right away, when you were born, they knew you would undergo surgery.
Yes. Yep. And so I was born C-section because it's safer than trying to do natural. And basically, they said at the time that if that had happened, my spine would have gotten like severed.
Oh, wow.
And then I really would have been paralyzed.
Right. So now you're saying, though, that... Sorry, I think our internet, there's like a little bit of a lag, so I apologize if I keep interrupting you. Yeah. So go ahead with what you were going to say.
I was just going to say, so I think nowadays when they are able to do that in utero, it is a safer for the parent to choose between the C-section and the natural birth.
So now in utero, when they do an ultrasound, they can see that, like they saw with your mom, that there was a lesion, but they're able to fix it now?
Yep. So now they're able to go in.
Are they still, would it still be considered you have spina bifida, even though it was corrected in utero?
Yes. Yep. You would still have that. And I would have to ask one of the parents, but there's another term that they use, but they do say still it's spina bifida.
Okay.
And is there any reason, do we know why spina bifida happens? I know you said there were different types, so maybe there's different answers for the different types, but.
No. So there have been speculations. The times doctors will tell parents it's lack of folic acid. That's the most common one I have heard. I have heard random people say Agent Orange.
Oh, okay.
But most of the time it's because they say because of folic acid, but that really hasn't ever been proven.
Okay.
And it's not genetic.
No.
Okay.
I mean,
So
not that they've proved.
Sure. Okay. Sure.
Do you know, would your folic acid, or maybe it's not something you've asked her, like in your situation,
No, my
do you
mom,
know?
when I was writing my book, I did talk. Yeah. So when I was talking to my mom, I was writing my book. The doctors, told her to take folic acid, and I know she did.
Okay.
Do you have siblings, Meetra?
I do have an older brother.
And does he have spina bifida? Okay.
No.
So sounds like it's not genetic then. Like, I imagine
Correct.
if you do you have children, or if you were going to have children, that it wouldn't be a concern.
They say it is. They say that it's a 50%
okay.
chance that you could pass it down.
Okay.
50%.
Mm-hmm.
50.
That seems like a lot.
That does seem like a big number.
It does.
How has the spina bifida affected you? What are your different abilities?
For me, I am able to walk unassisted. I do use a walking stick on occasion, particularly when I'm having like a higher pain day. I will use a walking stick just to help me.
So,
and
yep, keep going. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say I worked on my strength to stop wearing AFOs back in middle school.
Okay.
And so I don't use anything for my ankles or any extra shoe support.
Okay.
Are there continued exercises that you need to do to be able to maintain? So I see you making a face over there. Like, well,
should there be?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Do I?
Yeah.
No.
Right. I mean, that's any of us, right? That has to like do exercise.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they definitely recommend that I continue with physical therapy and things like that. But anytime that I was involved in physical therapy, I did not find it helpful. What I actually found more helpful was being with a personal trainer.
Okay. Yeah.
And so that is what I do now is I see a personal trainer 2 to 3 times a week. And they just adapt workouts based on what I want to see, which is strength training, balance, coordination, things like that. And so that's my primary focus.
And I heard you say that you use your walking cane when the pain is worse. Do you just live with pain? Is it sometimes mild, it's sometimes really bad, or are there days where you don't have pain?
Oh yes, there are days that I don't have.
Okay.
Pain. Yes. Yep. So it can range from mild to severe, but there are just some days where I will wake up and I can get out of bed and my hip is like, "Yep, we're not having this day."
Okay.
And then I just have the shooting pain, and so the walking stick just helps alleviate some of that pressure.
Sure.
What led you to write your book?
I started writing the book back in 2020 when I originally lost my job at that time for 6 months. And I was alone at my apartment. My ex at the time went back to his home country. And I just fell into this deep depression that I don't think that I knew what to do. And somehow it was because of a psych. When I started seeing a psych, he was like, well, have you ever done like a diary or some sort of form of writing to get these thoughts out so it's just not circulating inside?
Sure.
And so I did start writing just little bits at a time, and I would share them with him. And through those talks, he was actually like, you could make like a book out of this, right? He's like, because the way you're describing it, you have like 4 chapters right there.
Wow.
And so he and I just kind of started, as I was talking to him about it, I started writing more, and I really started just forming the book from there. And it became my form of therapy.
Yeah, yeah. And the book is about your journey with spina bifida.
Yes, yes. So I started it's mostly about my journey. I would say mostly about adulthood, but there are periods where I do talk about my childhood. I do talk about elementary school. I talk about the experiences that I went through with bullying. So it's kind of like a mixture.
Yeah, I was
But
going to ask you about bullying. We actually interviewed in episode 49. His name was Devin Moore, and he wrote a book about bullying prevention and kind of his experience with bullying. What was the experience for you?
my experience was more of the stares, the laughing, pointing. I was never like physically abused or like, I wasn't ever pushed or taunted like that. It was more the stares in the hallway, the ousting, like, oh, you're different.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It was more that.
What would you do in response to that at that time?
At that time, I literally walked with my head down in the hallway. I just wanted to get from point A to point B.
Yeah.
So Jess and I are both special education teachers. What would you say to a teacher that's listening to this episode? Like, how could they have helped you this, the teasing, the staring, things like that?
And so when I say this, I could be wrong, but from what I remember back then, there were not very many teachers out in the hallway.
Okay.
I think that there should be more teachers just standing periodically out in the hallway, whether it's to get students to keep going to get to class or just to supervise what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that, it's very hard for me to just say, teachers, you need to step in, because that's easier said than done.
Yeah.
It's totally easier said than done. But I think that my parents did a wonderful job early on. They came into many of my classrooms prior to the school year and talked to the teachers and talked to the students about spina bifida, about where my level is and what they might encounter with me. And so
educating people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that definitely helped, but I do think inclusion needs to be more in the forefront compared to just saying, oh, well, you have a disability, so you need to be in this special education classroom away from your peers.
Mm-hmm.
I was only in those special education classrooms for test taking and study hall. Anything else, I was in the mainstream classroom. I had note takers. I sat in the front of the class so that I could actually pay attention to the teacher and like they could visually see me to make sure I was getting it. So I think things like that I think the curriculum and teachers could benefit if they just kept us mainstreamed.
Sure. Okay.
And I do understand that not everybody can do that because you don't go to school not everybody goes for that special education. So they don't really know how. But
I think Shannon and I are definitely advocates for inclusion when it's appropriate.
It benefits everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And because I remember when I being included, that is where I got to interact more, and I built my confidence on that because there were certain classmates who did come towards me and help guide me and make sure that I was good.
Were you able to form friendships in those elementary, middle school, high school days?
Yes, I had a group of 5 friends from middle school to high school.
Okay.
And that was my core group. Yes.
How can people find your book?
It is available. I personally sell signed copies.
Okay.
Otherwise, it is available on Amazon, Barnes and Nobles, Walmart, I think Kindle, and then there's just a bunch of other random small bookshops.
How could people get a hold of you to get a signed copy?
They could either email me or on social media, they can just send me a message as requesting it. In my bio I believe it's on Facebook and Instagram, I have a link tree. And
Oh, yep. Okay.
on the link tree, there is a button that says request a signed copy.
Awesome. Okay. Any other questions, Jess, or anything, Meetra, that we didn't ask you that you really want listeners to know about Spina Bifida, about your book?
I think this last little blurb that I was just going to read is
absolutely. Okay. Let's end with is this from your book?
Yes.
Okay. A blurb from the book.
Yes. Every day as the sun rises, we are provided an opportunity to recreate our dreams into reality. We shouldn't take for granted the chances and opportunities that come our way, because we never know when our time here is through. Let's make every moment count. You are capable of rising above all of your greatest doubts and dreams.
Thank you for listening and being a part of our community. Please follow us on Facebook and Instagram.
If you'd like to connect, we can be reached at podcastfromtheretohere@gmail.com.
We hope you continue on this journey with us.